everyone, welcome back to Sophia Crothall Talks Sport. This week I am joined by Formula One Society, so I'm going to let them introduce themselves to you.
Hi, I'm Caitlin. I'm the president of the Formula One Society and founder, I guess you could say.
Ooh, very fancy. Hi, I'm Emily. I'm the vice president and welfare officer.
I was just bigging myself up there, I have to be honest.
No, exactly. 100% taking that founder.
Yeah, I was like, let me just drop that in there just to make myself sound really good. But yeah, that's us, I guess.
We're new this year as well.
We are, yeah.
Founder over there. We're new this year.
Very new society. But we are enjoying it so far, I think. I think for me, because when I was getting into Formula One, I was looking for like an F1 society and there just wasn't one. I was like, that is absolutely crazy. And then it was kind of like, came about, I was asking friends, would they want to be involved? And obviously you have to like find a certain amount of people that would be involved to then create a society. And then I think it was Freshers Fair where it really kicked off. There were so many people coming up and we got to meet so many great people. And it was just so fun to talk to everyone, like who's your favourite driver, what team do you support? A lot of Red Bull fans, which I personally was not expecting.
It was crazy.
Really?
Yeah, like a lot. And like a lot of Williams people as well, like a lot of teams that I didn't know as many people supported. So I think it was just really great to see like a diversity in terms of like what teams are being supported. And also like a really nice mix in terms of, I feel like Formula One can be seen as like a very male-dominated sport. So I think it was really cool to see like obviously lots of girls coming up to us as well and talking about how they wanted like an avenue to kind of get involved in. So yeah, it's been really exciting. Sorry, I just went a little tangent there. But
it was crazy that at the Freshers Fair, I lost my voice, I think, halfway through, and we were speaking to that many people.
Oh my gosh, you did.
That's kind of nice though.
Yeah, no, it was cool, but I ran out of water, and then we were kind of stuck because we were at the beginning of all of the stalls, and I think we went into it, and our Instagram account was on like 30 followers, and that was all of our friends, and we were like, okay, so if we make it to 60 followers, we'll have achieved something. I think by the end of it, we were at like 300 followers.
That's really good.
It was crazy. And we kept like increasing like our aim as it went on. Like when we reached 100, we were like, let's see if we can get another 100. Like, let's just see.
Yeah.
And it kind of kept getting bigger and bigger, which I think was just so great to see the kind of engagement that it was getting. Yeah.
But scary. Like,
yeah.
Actually, it's like, oh, we're a big society now. Like,
yeah,
we were
no pressure.
a little pub trip in a nice tiny pub. And
Yeah,
we were
definitely.
like, okay, so we need to consider a big venue.
We kind of had a lot to take into consideration afterwards in terms of obviously finding somewhere big enough. But I think now that we're kind of a lot more stable and like we've kind of found our pattern in terms of our events and stuff, we're very much thinking like kind of like group quizzes that we can do with everyone and kind of stuff that people can get more involved in a way that's not just obviously watching the sport, but people can show their passion in different ways as well. I think it's really exciting that we can develop that now. As we're kind of more into the year,
New season.
Exactly.
Yeah. Well, that was the thing, because it's now a new season. We could kind of create a fantasy league, which we literally just launched yesterday.
I'm ready. I want to win. We did it because this is how it, like, even the society started.
Well, you were in a
like
fantasy league last year as well.
Yeah, there was a little group chat of like second years, like me and my friends, and I mentioned to Caitlin, I was like, oh, like I like Formula One, like do you watch it? And she was like, yeah, I'm getting into it. Kind of through, it was Drive to Survive, right? That was how you got into it.
Yeah, I had a really embarrassing opening to F1. I wish like you had a really good way in the sense that you'd been watching it for years. I was very much a newbie. And it was through Drive to Survive, which I think a lot of people have been finding it through as it's become quite big. But I wish I could say something like else that got me into it. But yeah, Drive to Survive is kind of where it started. I was watching that with my dad. And kind of just started from there. And then it was like obviously going more into the sport and starting to actually watch the races, finding out about the different teams and all the different drivers. I think it's just so exciting that it's not just like obviously the drivers that you're supporting, there's the whole team engagement. I think it's such an exciting sport. And for me personally, I don't really watch any sports. I guess it's a motorsport, but I don't watch like rugby or football. I'm not really so much into that. So I think it was kind of nice finding an avenue that I could like properly engage in. And I think Formula One fans, it's just so exciting how much passion goes into it. You can see it at the races where obviously people are all dressed up in their gear and like the team that they support. I think it's just so exciting. So yeah, no, I really like it.
How did you find Formula One?
So my friend Imi's like the biggest Formula One fan you'll ever meet. She's a massive Red Bull fan.
Oh my
and
God.
yeah. Yeah. And I remember when I did my undergrad at Bristol, she'd always talk about like she's watching the race this weekend. On a few occasions I'd like watch it with her. And then I think it was more, I started like watching it and I was like, oh, this is actually kind of interesting. It's not just cars driving around a track. Like you start to learn what else goes into it. And then I did like a real binge of Drive to Survive as well. And I think for me it was nice to see like the behind the scenes as well.
It's like the drama behind.
The drama, yeah. And obviously I was like watching it, I was like, okay, some of this is definitely like over the top, but it does give like almost like newbies a really good understanding of how things work and kind of the setup. So I guess, the more, and then I just started like watching more races. I started just reading a bit more about it and just became like really invested. And I think it definitely helped having like a friend who could like text and be like, hey, what does this mean? Or like, what do you know about this? And it was the same, like one of my other housemates was really big into it. So it was nice being surrounded by like other people. But then I found the society here because obviously, coming to Cardiff to do a master's, didn't really know anyone. And then I found the society on Instagram. I was like, oh, okay, there is a community of like other people here as well, which I think is lovely.
I completely agree though. It's so nice when obviously other people, like one of the people in our society as well, Priya, little shout out to her. She would be like at the start, she would be like sending me first traps of like the Ferrari drivers. And that was, I mean, to be fair, that was a good avenue for me to also like start getting involved. I was like, oh, who is this Carlos Sainz? Let me find out more about him.
You were name dropping.
Yeah.
I remember that. She was impressing me because for me, like I found Formula One. I think it was definitely through my dad. Like I think maybe when I was about 4 or 5 is when I remember like actually sitting there and being like, oh my gosh, there are cars going around the track. I'd just be sat in front of it. It just happened to be on the weekend. Yeah. And then when I actually started paying attention, I was. Have you seen that little like? I think it's a TikTok of the girl that's like a little girl that can name all of the drivers.
Yeah.
That was me. I was exactly the same, and I'm pretty sure my dad even has a video of that. Like I could name them all, and I found it so fascinating. And then when Drive to Survive came out, I was just like, yeah, this is cool now. Yeah. Because none of my friends were into Formula One. I had literally no one. And then Drive to Survive came out and Caitlin was like, oh, I think I'm interested now. And I was like, okay, here we are. Because I was stuck with like, not to hate on boys, but I was stuck in a massive group of boys who were interested. Like they came around like my flat last year and we put it on the screen and we were watching it. And then when a couple of other people were interested, like Caitlin and Priya, and they were like, oh yeah, F1's cool. I was like, this is nice. There is a group of people that we can talk about this.
Guys, Formula One is cool. That's what we can take from this.
But yeah, no, it's a lot of fun to have a range of people to talk with. I tell you what though, I didn't realise the Verstappen following. I knew it was there, but I hadn't met anyone.
It's massive.
And then that Freshers' Fair, we were having people come up, and there were some people that were like out and proud about it. They're like, yeah, I am a Verstappen fan, and I'm not ashamed of it. And then there were some people, I remember this pair of girls, they were so sweet. They came up to me. I was like, oh, so what team do you support? And they were like, we don't want to tell you. And I was like, what do you think I'm going to do? I'm not going to hurt anyone. Because I said I'm a Hamilton fan, and they were like, I don't think you'll like us. Yeah. Like, oh. But they were proper diehards. Like they'd written "We love Verstappen" on like their key cards for their flat. It was so cute. You know, but they were nice.
Yeah,
they're nice people.
That's what I will say. I think through the society we have met so many like genuinely wonderful people, and also even just getting messages on our like F1 Instagram. From people who were like, oh, like this would be a really great idea, or like, oh, I'm so looking forward to this event. It's just so, like, for me, when I, like, see them when my messages pop through, I'm like, oh, it just feels really nice.
No, definitely.
Yeah, it was nice. I went to that Pen to Pit Lane event they didn't walk that, and it was really weird going because obviously there was real big, like, Red Bull fans there, and I was just like, I'm just here for the event, seeing what's going on, I'm just interested.
Did you get the free hat as well?
Yeah, I got the hat.
Did you get the cap or the bucket hat?
Yeah, I got, like, a beige cap.
Oh, cute.
Yeah, cute. I was like, this is the night. I was like, I don't want orange. Like, I want something a bit more neutral. But it's funny because, I went into TK Maxx and they've obviously got loads of like F1 merch in at the moment, and there was just a lot of Max Verstappen. Like everything in there was like Max Verstappen.
Had you got yourself any F1 merch?
When I went to TK Maxx, I bought a McLaren t-shirt.
Oh, nice.
And I did buy a Max Verstappen t-shirt just because I was like, it's a tenner. It's just something else to have.
You like, I may as well.
Yeah, it'll probably become like a pajama top, but it was just
and
nice.
And you've got the Red Bull hat.
And the hat,
How did you find the Pen to Pit Lane event?
I found it really interesting. I actually went on my own, which was like a really like weird thing for me to do. I hate going to things on my own. And I went, and then like a group of people outside like adopted me. They were like, "You on your own?" I was like, "Yeah." But I did find it really interesting just to like hear also about all the different kind of teams that go into it. Like obviously you just see mostly like the mechanics and stuff, but to know the amount of people actually behind like the full operation, I just found that really cool. And also just hearing the car like up close, like that was loud.
I was having to block my ears.
Yeah.
As soon as they were like, it's going to be so loud, like if you want to block your ears, block it now. I was sat there and I was genuinely terrified. And I remember like taking my hands out a little bit at one point, and I was like, oh gosh, I need to put them back in.
Yeah.
And they said that it's not even as loud as
yeah.
it normally is. And I was like, how do the drivers sit there? And like genuinely it would freak me out. But I think I completely agree, seeing how many people are involved in it, like in terms of like marketing and stuff like that. And I think the people that did speak to us from the Red Bull team was so genuinely interesting. It wasn't like a sit down and a lecture and you're just like, oh gosh, when's this going to be over? Like it was genuinely interesting. And now I've got my little bucket hat hanging on my door, which is quite nice.
Nice, yeah.
My little freebie from the event.
So I guess like as a society, obviously you started this year. So what sort of some of the events you've ran already, just for people who are thinking new season might come along?
So far we've only really done like events in the TAF specifically is kind of where we found our calling. It's quite nice because you would just email in and we're like, can we book this? And every time what I've really enjoyed is the fact that we're like having to book for way more people.
That's nice.
So it's like, oh yeah, I know I said like 80 people last time, but can we up that to like nearly 150? And that was like our last race, like when we watched it, that was really cool. But I think quiz night is what I'm up for.
Yeah,
I want to be quizmaster. I'm
Yeah.
so ready to take on that role. I think it would be so fun, and I think that will be because what I found at least at the when we watch the races with people, like people sit with their friends, which is nice, and we try and network with people and chat and find out who they're supporting. But at the same time, like I can't lie, I do also sit down and I'm like, I need to watch the race.
Yeah, I'm focused now.
What's going on, because I know the minute it happened to me, I can't remember which race it was last season, but it was when like Hamilton crashed out and he had a big like there was something really bad going on, and I was chatting to someone and everyone went, whoa, and I was like, no, I completely missed it.
Oh my gosh, I remember that.
Yeah, I feel like a quiz night is definitely the kind of branching out event that we want to try, because then you get to know the members a bit more. I think that would be nice to establish a bit more connection.
Our other idea originally was to do, when the new Drive to Survive obviously came out on Friday, was to do like a watch along. And we did look into that, and basically we have to contact Netflix. It's a license. It's like a whole thing. And we were like so excited about it, but we were like, so Netflix, if anyone from Netflix is listening, if they're like, in the mere chance, please let us watch Drive to Survive. That'd be great.
Yeah.
No,
Do you think, because obviously they show like Silverstone and Channel 4 just once a year, but the fact that it's on Sky or like Now TV, people got paid. Do you think that's a barrier for people trying to get in? Because it is expensive otherwise for people to pay each month.
I don't, Emily, you might feel different to me about this, but I would say it definitely is. I think a lot of different sports are like very much easily accessible on the television. You put it on, the football's on, you put it on, the rugby's on. Obviously they have like the big games going on. So I think, if you don't have Sky, I think it can 100% be like an extra step, especially if you're wanting to like try out watching just like one race, just to see what it's like, and then having to buy a full membership. That definitely adds to it, and that's why personally for me, I have been obviously not just with the event, but not just with the society, but even before that was going to the pub and watching it. That was like the best avenue to go through. But I would say, I guess the benefit of that is I was able to meet so many more people rather than just like sat in my room in bed with it on my laptop.
What are you trying to say?
Hint, hint, that's what Emily does.
No, I think for me, it sounds really silly, but I don't think I ever like considered that. Because for me, we've always had Sky because we're a very like sport-orientated family. But I can see in other sports, like with F1, obviously, I think there is a huge barrier. If you don't have Sky, you can't really watch it.
Yeah.
I mean, that sucks. It sucks so much. But I think, so like for me, I'm a massive rugby fan, and I watch all the international games and things that are available there. But you have to now get like BT to watch the Premier League and things like that. The Premiership, sorry. And then it's like the Premier League, some of their games are like that as well with football. I just think it makes me sad because people obviously like Caitlin and yourself, you find Drive to Survive, you think it's cool and you're like, I'm going to get into this, and then you're like, oh, hang on a second, I've got to spend how much a month to try and watch it. But I do have to say the thing that I think it's a barrier obviously for people that don't have other fans around them. But for me, I definitely found last year when people found out that like I had Sky through my dad, they were like, okay, right, so we're coming to yours.
Yeah.
And yeah, I've definitely found people obviously gravitated towards that sort of situation because they wanted to access it. So I feel like it pushes more people to potentially like network. But at the same time, it does suck. Like 100%. If I couldn't watch the F1, I'd be miserable. So.
It's just like the Channel 4 highlights, but they always do it so much later. So when I was doing that when I was home over the break or whatever, when I was watching that, I was having to like avoid Instagram and like seeing like any results.
Yeah.
And I'd have to watch it later and be like, okay, don't look at your phone, don't see who won the race or anything. But I will say I do remember when Carlos Sainz won the race last year. One of them that he won, I can't remember where it was now. I think it was Singapore, wasn't it? Yeah. I remember what I did like is like my friends, like my friends from home, I told them all that I was into F1 and they didn't really watch it. And I think they heard me talk about it so much. And I remember I wasn't able to watch the race and they were like, oh my gosh, because for me, Carlos Sainz is my favourite driver. And they were like, Carlos has won the race. And I was replying, I was like, are you serious? Are you joking with me? Please be serious. Please be serious.
Heartbreak.
Yeah, so like, for me, like, I've kind of like, in terms of, I guess, networking, like, I've literally forced my F1 knowledge or like how much of it I have on like everyone that I know that I'm like, I'm going to tell you about the teams, I'm going to tell you about the drivers, like I'm going to tell you about all the behind the scenes drama that's going on. No, and I'd find those like YouTube compilations and I would just like send them to my friends and I'd be like, you have a choice what you're watching.
Yeah, watch this.
Yeah, I watched like maybe like the big like crashes and stuff or like even like behind the scenes and it'd be like Gunter Steiner just being so funny.
I love him to bits.
I'm so upset that he's gone.
That was sad.
I was like, how are you getting rid of him?
It was even the way, like, in the latest series of Drive to Survive, the way Netflix set it up, like, they were mourning the loss with the fans. Like, I'm in the process at the moment of reading his book, and it's the best thing ever.
Oh my gosh.
It's really good.
I saw that in, like, the bookstore the other day, and I was like, wait, there's a book?
Yeah. So, because I went on Amazon, and basically for my birthday, my friend bought me a book. She was like, right, read this, like it will give you a really good understanding of everything before the season. So I like read that and then I was like, I want to read something else. And I was on Amazon and it was like pre-order and I was like, I'm really confused. People have talked about he's already got a book and you can pre-order the paperback. But I was like, I'll spend the £10 and buy the hardback. And it's brilliant because as I'm reading it, I can actually just imagine him saying it. Like the way he writes it as if like he's having a conversation with someone. It's just like genius. But yeah, even with that, he's like writing down things. It's kind of like a diary. And I'm finding out all these things, and obviously it's based on, like, 2022. I'm finding out all these things, like, I didn't know about him, but also just happened at, like, race weekends and how the team was feeling and things like that. But he does say in that book, like, he has become a celebrity because of Netflix, and he owes Netflix everything. So, but yeah.
I think they actually owe him everything.
Yeah.
Because, like, the amount of things on specifically Drive to Survive with him, just, like, his lines
He's
in
a
it.
nutter.
It's
honestly,
yeah.
has me, like,
great.
cackling to myself about it. Yeah, we love him.
Yeah, crazy man.
Make a little fan club for him, a little shrine.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Don't, it's so sad. That actually really upset me. No, I think for this new season coming, I think it's going to be so interesting to see how kind of like the Mercedes dynamic work.
Definitely.
For me, I was literally talking to my dad for so long. Literally the last couple of years, we were like, Hamilton will go to Ferrari. Because he's not going to go to Red Bull.
He wouldn't go there.
And who wouldn't want to be able to say they've driven for Ferrari? It's Ferrari.
Iconic, yeah.
I mean, I know they're not doing... Sorry, Caitlin, you won't like this, but I know they're not doing very well. But you know, it's Ferrari.
Yeah.
And I think it's going to be interesting because we were having this debate the other day. I think that the dynamic could be really good. I think for Hamilton, like Mercedes, you gotta know he's been there for so long. He was not gonna like ride out the end of his career without changing to another team if he had the opportunity.
He always said that he wanted to drive for Red.
Yeah.
Always gonna happen.
So that's what I mean. I think hopefully the dynamic will kind of be, okay guys, like you knew this was going to happen. This is my career move, but I want to try and get another championship under my belt. I want it to be the last one. Kind of go out and start, kind of like what Danny Rick did, where he was like, I'm going to drive well for you guys. Yeah. But obviously it's a bit different because he got kicked out. But I feel like I'm hoping that's the case. I think it will also be interesting to see if they change prioritising George over Hamilton.
I'm interested about that, yeah.
Because I mean, to be honest, logistically, I think it would make more sense to do that because we don't know who they're going to bring in.
Well, exactly. And also, the marketing team for Mercedes have basically forgotten Lewis exists. Like, everything on their Instagram now is just like George. Everything is him. So I think they are probably looking at that already. They've probably got to, like, weigh up, do we help Lewis for a year or do we just start pushing George,
Who
you know?
do you think could see taking his seat in Mercedes potentially?
Ooh, I don't know. I've been reading a lot, and obviously there's a lot of rumour about like Esteban Ocon because he's got ties to Mercedes. Obviously people are saying like could Carlos Sainz go there, but he's got ties potentially to Audi. It's tough. I don't know because I think as well it's such like a big seat to fill. Like if they brought in like a complete new like rookie, people are going to be going, is this a gamble? But then obviously they're going to take someone else and they're going, well, do you think he's as good? George is probably sat there being like, am I going to be first driver or not? You know. So what do you think?
Well, we were talking about this because we didn't think it would be like a direct switch where they take on Carlos. And Emily, you were saying to me how, like, realistically, if they're taking in Hamilton, they think that Hamilton's a better driver than Carlos.
Carlos, definitely.
So why would Mercedes then take on Carlos for that position?
Yeah, I find it difficult because for me, I don't know, obviously it could be considered controversial, but I know Caitlin will like this answer for me. Like, I was so... not shocked isn't the right word because you can kind of see, like, in reality, Ferrari were not going to get rid of Charles, right? They weren't going to get rid of him.
No, that's it.
But I think they should have because I think Sainz is a better driver. You look at, like, last season, he was doing so much better. He
won a race.
Yeah, exactly. He wasn't having a paddy every 5 seconds. So I think he was the better driver. And the fact that obviously they've now gotten rid of him for Hamilton, I think it will make an interesting dynamic with those two.
Yeah.
Because Hamilton will want to be top dog. Is he going to be top dog? Probably not, because he's not the little golden boy. But then where do they put Sainz?
Well, I'd like to see if Carlos Sainz does better in a different car.
That's true.
If he's in a different car, whether it's Audi or whether
how will you take that? If he does better in another car, that just shows
how
how bad Ferrari are.
Yeah. That'd be a very difficult situation for me to be in. But I think it'd be interesting to see him like drive a different car and his ability in a different car as well. And especially imagine if he's in a different car and he manages to like beat both Charles and Hamilton.
That would be great.
Like
so
good.
good.
It would be such like a thing. I can just imagine it.
Drive to Survive would blow up.
I was thinking
whole
that
episode based on it.
like even when it's nearly a month ago now when the news broke about Lewis Hamilton, I was sat in my lecture when it came out and I literally texted my friend being like, is this real? Like, and then Sky came out and I was like, right, this has to be real now. And my whole day was just like consumed by it. But all I kept thinking was, I bet Netflix wish they were recording right now. And like, they've kind of done a bit of it in the new season of Drive to Survive, obviously gone back and like edited things. But I was just sat there being like, I bet they wish they were there right now recording this. They're probably already thinking, right, new season, let's start the drama already. Like,
that could be the first episode of the next season.
Definitely.
Will be all about that, about the switch and like which seats are being taken and everything like that.
And I was hearing rumours about the fact that like Alonso and Mercedes, which I think would be interesting, but also I actually have no idea. I wouldn't be able to be like, oh, okay, so if I had to pick a driver to go to Mercedes, this is who I'd pick. Because I think you kind of got the top 3 teams and I don't see anyone better to replace Lewis. Obviously, they don't have the choice. That's the difference. It's not their choice. So, yeah, I think it's going to be interesting. And then I was reading, I don't know if it was a rumour. I keep seeing stuff and I'm like, is this true? Is this true?
Everything.
But there's, obviously, I think it's Perez is going to be out of contract next season.
Yeah.
And so if I was Red Bull, I'd say bye-bye because I don't think he's good enough to be driving in a Red Bull. I don't see how you can have Verstappen number 1 pretty much all the time and like Perez could be 3rd, could be 2nd, or could be like 6th. Like you can't. It's kind of like what was happening with Hamilton and Russell when Bottas. Sorry, Hamilton and Bottas when Hamilton was winning and Bottas was like 10th, and I was just like, how are you driving that badly? Do you know what I mean?
Got the same car.
So I think it'll be interesting to see what happens to him because I personally would get rid of him. I think like lower down the teams, I'm really impressed by Albon, and I think he's really kind of said like you know, 2 fingers up to Red Bull for getting rid of him because he's in like not a very good car and he is driving it.
He scored all the points for Williams last season. Like.
So I think it's incredible. But there were also like rumours that he was talking to Red Bull and he said no. And then I heard rumours that he actually might go to them. And
it's all rumour. Whoa. Yeah, because there's rumours that he's extended his contract already with Williams. Like, it's all up in the air. And then you've got Daniel Ricciardo who comes out today again and goes, yeah, I want to end my career with Red Bull. So I think that is his goal. He's like, I am going for that seat. And like, I think Red Bull have a soft spot for him, but it's whether or not like he performs this season to like back it up, you know, because it is a seat. But I also think like right now I wouldn't want to be Max Verstappen's teammate because you just know like you're not going to win. Like,
you're never going to
be
number
good. One. Yeah.
I feel that's a really, obviously you want to be like the best driver for your team. So if you're in a position you know that Max is going to be doing better in every single race.
100%.
That's like a really difficult position to be in.
Well, it's like what was happening with Hamilton and Bottas.
Yeah.
Like Bottas literally, I remember like you'd hear him on the radio and he would be getting upset because obviously they're promoting Lewis because he was winning all the time. So I think it is kind of, you almost would want to be, I would say, I'd rather be number 1 in a different team than number 2 to him in a Red Bull.
Yeah.
Because
100%.
Also, like, Max isn't giving up anytime soon, is he? So
no.
So
he could break every record.
So you're literally stuck there. And obviously, if you start to underperform, kind of like Perez is, then if I was Red Bull, I would just give him the boot because you're in the best car, you got the best driver, pick anyone.
Yeah.
You know, and they've obviously got the lower down teams, which are feeder teams, and you've got some good drivers down there. So we'll see.
What do you think as well about like McLaren? Because obviously they started off really poor last season, second half were doing really well, but it was getting quite close between the 2 drivers. Like, do you think they'll still have this first, second driver? Do you think they'll maybe like balance it out? It's tough because you've got like 5 years of experience, 1 year, and yet your rookie's performing and on the podium with you.
I just feel like Oscar is just honestly like as soon as they put him in that car, he was doing so well. Yeah. I think he really I think he definitely sets the standard, I would say, for kind of like upcoming rookies of like this, like what they have to perform like. But I can't see them putting Lando lower. I really can't. I feel like Lando is such a big like fan base.
He's like their baby.
Yeah, he's literally like the child.
Like Leclerc.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah. I think it'd be like that way even if Oscar was doing better, they would still prioritise Lando.
I think this season will be very telling. I think I'd say this season is where we'll see, because if this is close, and obviously now he'd be like 2 seasons in, he's not really a rookie anymore, is he?
No.
So then, if he's driving better,
decision time.
This is the thing. I think what I find interesting with obviously Drive to Survive, and then you see the race, is that it very much, like, to me sometimes I'm like, oh, that's a silly decision, like I do this, but obviously even Drive to Survive, it's like dramatized, so we don't really know how complicated it is.
Yeah.
So I and obviously there's the emotions and all these sorts of things, but yeah, I think if you go performance wise, if he outperforms him this season, then it would be stupid in my opinion not to prioritize him.
Definitely. I know. I was just thinking every time I hear like the name Charles, I just think of those. Do you see on like Instagram? There's like memes, and it's like Charles looking so upset.
Yeah.
And it's like Charles since like the new contract was formed and stuff like that, because he just stays there, and he obviously like you just see his smile just fade and fade. Bless him.
Yeah.
I just honestly I can't like I hate it because I find it funny, but I'm like that's actually really upsetting.
But can you imagine if you were Verstappen? Like, if you were him and you're thinking, like, oh, crap, like, 2 of my biggest rivals are now going to be in the same team next year. Like, that's
a lot.
Big.
Yeah.
I didn't even think about that, but that's such a good point.
And then, like, I don't know. And then between them 2, I don't think I've really seen Leclerc and Hamilton interact too much.
No.
I don't.
I
Like, so I wonder if they're actually
scenes,
like friends. Do you know what I mean?
Yeah.
We see with the other drivers, like the relationships between them. It's so cute.
They're all playing paddle.
Yeah, and they're all having fun, and like they seem really friendly. Like I loved Danny Rick and Lando. I loved them 2 together, and like Sainz and Lando. Like I think
I also
that
really
sort
like
of friendship.
Danny Rick and Max together.
Yeah, they
I
just
think,
seem happy.
I feel like Danny Rick really brings out like a really like nice side of Max. That kind of like almost you see him like a different light. Like he's actually quite a funny guy.
Yeah,
This is what I mean. Like I don't know if those 2 will bounce off each other. I feel like you're putting 2 people together that are either going to hate each other and not speak to each other, or they will form this bond, but it will be really weird to watch. I can't see them judging.
I could see them being like really civil, like kind of vibe of like someone you sit with like in a lecture, but you're not necessarily friends with. Like you'll be friendly to them, but you're not like inviting them to yours like that evening.
And then behind the back, like he's like whispering in Ferrari's ear, like pick me.
Yeah, exactly. That's the kind of dynamic that I can imagine going on between them.
Yeah.
But that will be interesting to see.
No, I'm so excited.
Like how they are, or if it's kind of like a bit of a like rivalry between them. Obviously, like Charles is getting a new teammate, and like Hamilton's willing to prove himself in a Ferrari.
Yeah.
He's obviously gonna want to be doing better than Charles.
I think you're sticking two of the biggest potential drama queens together.
Yeah.
You know, we'll see what happens. But I tell you what, I am looking forward to this season is there's a bit more colour on the racetrack with some of the cars.
Oh, it's nice.
Oh,
It's
yeah,
nice.
we were looking at the new like livery and that. I think it's like all the bright colours. Which was the team that we were talking about? Along with the green.
The green one, isn't that?
Sauber.
Yeah,
Steak,
but they've
yeah.
Steak or whatever it is. These names are
New
confusing
name. Visa
me.
Cash App.
Literally. Whereas I've been trying to learn them, and you see the cars, and I'm like, those are cool. Like they've fully rebranded. I love the green. I think
it's so cool. Or even Williams with their new car, they've gone like for a much brighter blue.
Red Bull. Have they done anything different? It doesn't look
I
different.
remember watching their launch, and before Max had been on a stream, and he was like, "Car looks exactly the same." Obviously, someone's told him off saying that, so he's on another stream. He's like, "No, don't worry, guys, completely different." Comes out, and I was like, "No, no one was expecting it to change.
No.
Like, it's Red Bull."
I'd be like, point at something different. Tell me, because there's not much. But I do miss the bright colours. Do you know what I mean? I miss the pink cars and like, do you know what I mean?
Just fun, yeah. And also it makes it so much easier when they're like going so fast to actually be able to say, oh, that's that person, that's that team. You know, if they're all going to start looking the same, you're going to be sat there like, someone posted like a meme and it was like, they just turned the grid black and white. So like, at this rate, we are going to be looking like we're watching a black and white television.
They're like trying to like try and see the number on it, like trying to work out. But I see, personally, I haven't gone and seen like a race live yet. I would love to. I did try and get tickets for Silverstone, and I'm so jealous of anyone that did, because I was on the website at the exact time.
Oh, no.
I was waiting in the queue, and I was literally sat there for like an hour, and I was like, I'm gonna get it, and it went all the way through when it was like, okay, there's none of these tickets left available. And I was like, are you joking me? Because the way that I'd been like planning it all out even before I got the tickets, I was like, this is what I'm gonna do, this is what's gonna happen. But I see videos of people, and they're like on the racetrack, and they're like videoing obviously the cars as they go by, and it's so ridiculously quick. Like you blink and it's gone. It's so quick, and I just know, like, for me, my eyesight's not the best, not the best, so I'd have to be like there with like little spectacles, like trying to get it as it goes past.
No, but this is what I mean. Like I think, like, I haven't been to a race either. I'd really love to.
Yeah.
Do you know what I mean? I think it's the experience, but at the same time, like you said, they go by so quickly. Like, am I actually going to see the race?
Yeah, you want to be in a good position.
Do I have to rewatch it to understand what's going on? And it's so much money, but I feel like that's an experience.
So
it's
expensive, but it's like something that I would just love to do once.
No, 100%.
But if I was like in a dream world, I see like these videos, and it's people like obviously with like the passes that you can go and like see the cars and stuff.
Yeah.
And I saw someone, and they were doing it, and it was like the whole experience that they like won these tickets for, and I was like, that's what I need to do.
Where would you go though? Like what race?
I honestly, really basic answer, but I would say Monaco. I feel like the whole experience is like, it's just such a big race of the season. Obviously the race itself, I think people just
crash.
But I think like the whole experience, and also it just looks so gorgeous there.
Yeah, I want to go just to Monaco more than
It's
anything.
so pretty, but I know that if I went there, I'd feel so ridiculously poor, because I know that it's literally just like sports cars, and everyone is so ridiculously like rich. But I think like Monaco, Monte Carlo, but that's also because I loved the film as a child. Monte Carlo, that was like my favourite movie. So a bit of me wants to fulfill that.
See, I completely disagree with you. I think you're wrong on every single level. Monaco, for me, I get the like big spectacle, but can we not kind of get over it? Like, the race is so bad. It's so bad. There's
coming in with a
overtaking
controversial
is like
opinion.
Impossible.
Yeah.
And even if they did, obviously they don't want to crash their cars because millions of pounds worth of damage for like a tiny piece flying off. So they don't overtake. So then it's qualifying. Whoever does the best is literally that's
predicted
it.
For you, yeah.
Boring.
They're talking about, like, you know, I think as well, because cars have got bigger, more powerful, you know, some of these older circuits might have to go, and Monaco's like on the list of like
Bye-bye.
is it still worth it? You know, because obviously it's just chaos, like absolute chaos. And then I guess like they want to do a 4th race in America now, and it's just like people complaining, and then other people going, yeah, but like America's like the same size as Europe, and look how many races we have in Europe. But I was like, the difference is America is America. Europe's like different countries that people get to go to.
But I also don't. I think if they're doing better racetracks and they're bringing more attention to the sport, what's the problem? I think Monaco for me, like I do love to watch it. I don't miss it. I watch it. Yeah. But at the same time, like my favorite race is Azerbaijan. I think it's great. 4 cars can go alongside each other down that straight. You
competition,
can't get better.
yeah.
And then you see Monaco, and like that is, I feel like, the stereotypical when people. I take offense when people say it. We're like, it's so boring. Cars are just going around a track. But that's Monaco.
Yeah.
So I mean, if you want to get rid of that,
Monaco,
maybe
like,
we'll have something interesting going on.
When it gets like the same thing going on, I am kind of like trying to like look at the views behind the cars. I'm like, oh, that looks really nice there. Like that's a nice little like sidewalk. Imagine walking past there.
Like, let's keep it because the view is pretty.
That's like a little bit of me. I'm like, it's just really nice to look at.
What's your favourite racetrack?
Ooh, I don't know. I mean, I think for me, the one I'd want to go to just to set of being is to Silverstone. I think it is just iconic. Like, it's expensive. Obviously very expensive. I think the other one I would go to is to Monza, just to see like for everyone, just like the passion, the chaos. Like, it would more be for the experience than perhaps like the race itself, but just to be like immersed in all that. Like,
no, I can see
it would just be nice.
No, 100%. I think it's just, with America, I get why people are kind of moaning about it, because like Americans do things differently, right?
Yeah.
They make it very celebrity, like
over
like
the top.
Which was the one? I think it was one of the Vegas ones potentially. I can't remember if it was
Miami or Vegas.
Yeah. One or two. It might have been last year or the year before, I can't remember. And they did like the big announcements for the drivers as
they did that in Vegas where they all like came up.
Yeah.
And then in Miami they did it where they all came like out.
And there was like almost like a guy, and he was like announcing it, and he was it was just like they made such like,
it's like a show.
It was like a parody is the best way that I can, like, when I was watching that particular bit, I was like, this looks like a parody. Like, it felt like I was getting second-hand embarrassment.
Yeah,
like,
they were like this, like waving like the Queen.
Yeah.
It was cute. I liked it when they had. I think what was cool about that though was also they had like the singers and the bands, and they made it a big deal.
You get your money's worth. Like, there was a lot going on.
It felt like the Avengers, like they were all coming out.
Yeah. The thing I think for me that like I love the most, like stupid little sentimental thing, is like with Danny Rick. His biggest thing before, obviously, and he got dropped and didn't have a seat, was he wanted to race in Las Vegas. Like, I remember seeing everywhere these little clips where he talked about it, and then he got dropped, and then they announced they were doing a Las Vegas like circuit, and I was literally crushed. I was like, I feel bad for him. And then obviously he ended up like taking a seat and actually being able to drive it, and I was just like, that's cute. That's cool.
They had a big grin on his face the whole time.
And I think as well, like when you listen to the drivers talk about it, their favourite tracks are very different to obviously spectators' tracks.
Yeah.
I find that really cool, because obviously they're the ones that are driving it. Like they want an interesting track, and then you have some of these ones where I look at the circuit, and you know when they make the trophies like the circuit, and I'm like, how the hell are you driving that? Yeah, motion sickness would be a definite one for me. It would be awful. But
I find it, you know what I find funny actually is when I was telling my friends I was like really into F1 and stuff, I remember messaging one of my friends, and she just replied, she's like, you can't even drive, Caitlin. Like, why are you excited about these drivers? And I was like, hold on a second, because I see these tracks, and I'm like, oh, imagine if I was like in a Formula 1 car, and I'm like, I can barely drive.
Yeah, but you know, I'd say back is that Lewis Hamilton doesn't like to drive unless he's in a Formula 1 car. Have you seen that? He was chatting on, I think it was Graham Norton.
Yeah,
and he was saying like he doesn't like driving a normal car. Like he likes to be driven.
Yeah.
Because power, and obviously like I guess if you're allowed to go hundreds of miles an hour, and then they're like, let's go 20. And
it would be so disappointing.
It must feel slow.
Even like sometimes I watch Formula 1 and then I get in my like Fiat 500 and I'm like, oh, my car could not do that. And I'm like, sometimes there, like go around a corner, I'm like, ooh.
I'm like a very nervous driver, so I'm learning at the moment, and when I am in the car and he's like, okay, like you can switch like fourth gear, like we're going 50, I'm like there and I'm like a little granny behind the wheel. I'm like, I don't want to go that fast, I don't want to do it. And my seat's like so far forward, and I'm like right by the wheel.
I'm right on the wheel,
Like I'm such like a nervous driver. But then at the same time, I'm like, oh my gosh, imagine I was like in a Formula 1 car, but I know that I would not be able to drive that fast.
No.
I would be so scared.
Scream the whole way around.
Yeah. But I maybe like just to be in the car with an F1 driver. Obviously, like they can't fit two, but if they like made one that had like two seats.
Okay.
And then I could like sit and like experience it, but I would feel somewhat safer.
A couple minutes left, so what are your predictions for the first race this weekend? Who do you think's going to do well? Who do you think's going to struggle based on like what we've been seeing over the last week or so?
I honestly, like, my gut feeling, I don't know why, but I want to say that Lando is going to do really well. And this might either, like, come back and he, like, loses the race, or, like, he'll come first, which won't happen, but, like, he'll come in, like, top 3. I don't know why, I just have a feeling he's going to do really well, and I can't explain it.
Yeah.
I can't say why.
I think there's a lot of hype around McLaren and, like, the team, and, like, everyone's saying, oh, he was so close last year.
Mm-hmm.
This is the year.
I like to see him bring it, and I think obviously definitely for the first race back, we'll be excited to see how Hamilton does, to see how Carlos does, like if it kind of like the team relations, are they going to be better, are they going to be worse, what's it going to be like within the team?
Because if you're Carlos, you're feeling like crap right now.
Yeah.
He's going to be sat in the car having like an existential crisis.
Oh my gosh.
He's like, this time next year I'm not going to be here.
Yeah.
Well, because as well, like if I was him, and they were like, okay, so you need to let Leclerc through, I'd be like,
No.
my mic's gone off. I can't hear you. No,
What?
no, what's that? Overtake. Okay, let's keep going. No, that's very true. I think, so obviously, like, Max is a given, right?
Mm-hmm.
Essentially, like, his testing has been pretty
It'd be
good.
very surprising if he did not come first.
I actually don't know. I think it's all to play for with it being the first race, because obviously they've tested their cars.
Yeah.
But as we saw with Mercedes, like, last season, they were doing bad for like 3 quarters, and then all of a sudden they just remembered how to drive their cars.
We're going to see
again.
Toto Wolff like throw his head back
Yeah,
again.
that's why I think like I think this will be interesting to show how they will race probably for the next 10 races.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's you'll kind of see. I really back Albon. I really back him. I think he is this little like dark horse that kind of floats through. He takes opportunities and he runs with them.
Yeah.
So I feel like I would nail him on in the top 10. And I'd say, given obviously how the other cars are performing, if his Williams is good, we'll see.
Yeah.
I don't think he'd be top 3 though. Like
No.
he doesn't
No,
know
but
what
I'm definitely in the top 10, hopefully.
Oh no, given. I think that would
Getting
be great.
points
But
would be great to see.
I think McLaren, you know, they want to fight now.
Yeah, they're
know
hungry.
And I think they also know that like Ferrari weren't it last season, so why not? You know,
Go for it. Yeah.
Let's see some action here.
Yeah, I want competition. Like, I want to see someone other than Max or Perez on the podium. Like,
100%.
I want some variety, and I think, you know, they've obviously got a very strong car again, but depends obviously what happens as well with their management. But it'd just be nice to have like some variation and to have those kind of battles where it gets close to the end and you don't know who's going to win. Like, I just think it makes it more interesting. But I do think like Alpine weren't looking very strong at all. Like on the track, Haas wasn't looking great. So I think the bottom half of the table will be a bit more predictable, and it'll be that top end, which we'll all be sat there like wondering who's going to be there.
Definitely. I just can't wait to have like the first race back and be in the TAF. Kind of into the atmosphere leading up to it. I think will be really exciting.
I think it will just be fun with McLaren wanting a fight. Are the other cars going to be, like, you know, when they're a bit more aggressive and they just really won't let them pass?
Yeah.
I think what would be fun for me, I love it when like Verstappen gets a penalty or something.
Yeah.
Like, let's bring in a penalty or a puncture.
Something.
Like, have something happen where I also like it when he has to, like, kind of what Lewis used to have to do and Hamilton was at the back of the grid and then fought his way back to the.
It's exciting.
That I would take Max winning that way.
Yeah.
Because I think that
done
is
something.
fun.
Yeah.
Because then also these other drivers, then it would be like if Max was coming from the back, then obviously the top drivers don't want him to get past, so then there's a bit more friction there, and then it is like we've tapped wheels, this bit of wings flown off, you know, that sort of stuff. But I think it's going to be a very exciting season this year.
And you guys are meeting in the TAF to show it as well.
TAF,
This
3 o'clock,
Saturday,
Saturday, come join us.
Be there or be square.
Yeah. And we're, like, if you can as well, get there a little bit before, get a drink, come and mingle, come and chat. We'll chat about predictions.
Yeah, we're going to be
have
there
that sort
from
of-
1:30, aren't we?
Yeah, compare Fantasy League. You know,
Yes.
I'll just show my team off, be like, you're all going to lose, and we'll go from there.
Yeah, no, definitely. And also, come and say hi if you want to.
Oh, yeah,
we
please do.
always like talking to new people, and I'm also very aware that sometimes I go up to people's tables and I'm like wanting to chat, but I'm always like very scared that I'm also bothering people.
Oh, it's so
So
funny.
funny.
Watching her try and network, and you get like the slow approach of like if they look up and connect eye contact, you can go chat. But if not, it's like, oh, I'm gonna back away.
Come and approach me, and then I'll feel good about myself.
Yeah, that'd be really nice.
Finally, do you guys want to plug your Instagram?
Yes, it is CU Formula 1. As in like CU the letters.
Yeah.
Formula 1.
Shout out to our other committee members, Priya and Kushal. We've been like, it's been pretty crazy this year, obviously, with founding it like
From
New
scratch.
Society. It's been pretty crazy because we've been kind of having to work out what we're doing. None of us, I don't think, have ever really been in a committee role. Obviously, we were first years last year. It's kind of a bit mental.
Yeah.
But between the four of us, we've been working really well together,
Nice.
and I think it's nice. Like Priya's done such a good job with our socials. It's so funny watching her,
And
like,
Kushal posting about all the new library on the Instagram.
no, exactly, and he
keeping
set
up
up
with
the
that.
fantasy league, and so
Nice.
we've got this
Yeah.
sort of stuff, and I feel like it's kind of the recognition of that is when we see all of the people come to our events and we're sat there and we sit as a little committee in the corner. I feel like people don't know that we're the committee, which is even nicer. Like we sit there and we watch and we're like, okay, this is cool.
We have our little committee post on our Instagram.
Go like it, please.
So go see that and then try and find us.
Yeah.
It'll be like,
That'll be
where's
fun.
Waldo? Yeah.
Mm.
Come and try and find us.
Come up to us. Go up to Caitlin specifically and say, hi, Caitlin, because I'd love
But
to
also,
see your face.
but also, like, don't scare me. Don't, like, jump behind me, because I'm also
Definitely do
scare
that.
easy. Don't do that. Just be like,
Don't do
"Hi."
that.
And I'll turn around and I'll be so happy. I'll have the biggest smile on my face.
But yeah, hopefully, you know, we post about our events every week when there's something on. So the
And
more
hopefully
the merrier.
upcoming quiz will be sorting out.
Quiz master.
Yeah.
Watch out.
Ruthless quiz master over here.
Mm-hmm.
Well, thank you both for coming on.
Thank you for having us.
Yeah,
And
definitely. It's been fun.
Thank you to everyone who's listened, and see you all soon.
Yeah.